Hi, my name is Kimberly Brown, and in this video, I will discuss how an expressive leader would restore order between a CEO and vice president of a Fortune 500 company that I started working at right out of high school, then working my way up in the company into a leadership position. Then I will name the three types of formal organizations and explain how each are different. Also, I will explain a time where I was involved in one of these types of organizations and the positive and negatives it had within it. I will talk about if I decide to run for public office, although I had little or no experience in elections, holding office, or campaigning, I feel that I can be successful since I helped a friend who served in public office. And I will explain how this is a characteristic of Webster's ideal bureaucracy and what I will do to prove my competence under these characteristics. Lastly, I will talk about how a creative manager of a small group of employees in an advertising department would handle one of the designer's signs of withdrawal from the meeting, offering no input. This employee's alienation is concerning to me, so I will discuss what I will do to socialize and re-engage the employee. First, I will start talking about the expressive leader. The expressive leader loves to have fun. They are mainly concerned about harmony and the well-being of others. Expressive leaders want to be included in the project. They want to be included in the conversation. They want to be included. And if expressive leader faced with the dilemma of two top managers not getting along would highly disturb the expressive leader. And first, as an expressive leader, I would go talk to the two employees or the two leaders and ask them what they like to do for fun. And then I would ask permission to have a team building exercise. And we would do team building exercises once a week, try to do it once a week, and include activities that they both like to do. I would be the mediator. The expressive leader loves to be the mediator to make sure that both of their well-beings are being taken care of. Next, I will talk about the three types of formal organization. Excuse me. Voluntary, coercive, and utilitarian. The voluntary organizations are those organizations that members voluntarily join. They can freely leave, they can freely come and go, and there's no problem. Examples of these would be church groups, social groups. Advantages of these type of groups where people feel like they are being supported. Disadvantage could be where there's cliques that can form, because if the group is too big, people tend to form into groups of familiarity with others. So cliques can form. So that would be a disadvantage there. Coercive organizations are organizations that people don't feel like they have a choice of being in this type of organization. An example of this would be a jail, being drafted to go to war, those type of organizations. Disadvantages of these organizations are people feel like they have no freedom of choice. Advantages would be these groups are highly organized and structured and disciplined. The next group I'll talk about is the utilitarian, and that's somewhere in between the two. You have freedom to come and go. You have freedom to join the group. However, there's limits on your ability to come and go. Examples of this would be a university, labor unions, some government agencies, the military perhaps. My example would be the military. I chose to join the military, and because I chose to join, because I made the decision myself to join this group, I have categorized my experience in this area of utilitarian. I couldn't leave until my enlistment was up, but I did choose to join it. Examples of, I'm sorry, disadvantages would be there's a strong element of group conformity. Advantages would be these groups are highly organized and there's a clear direction to where, a clear goal to what the group is there for. Next, I'll talk about Webster's ideal bureaucracy and running for office. So there's 8 steps that I would make sure that my team followed. First, division of labor. I would make sure that each person had a specific job to do, which helps with expertise. People will have expertise in a certain area. Next, I would make sure there's a hierarchy of the organization where there's a clear chain of command. Everyone is clear about who's in charge and who has the authority to make decisions. Next, I would make sure there's written rules and regulations in place to reach our goal of the organization. Then I would have, there's interpersonality where the conduct, we will conduct activities that are unbiased in an unbiased manner. We will hire technical qualified employees based on tests, perhaps. If there's a CPA, they will have a CPA test. Whoever scores the highest, that's who's hired. We would ensure that the employee understands that their position is the property of the organization and it's not their own personal property. The employees will understand that the position is a clear career path and promotions are based on performance. And corrective actions will be documented and part of their permanent file. As far as creative manager, as a creative manager, in an organization where one of the designers have withdrawn from the meeting, I would talk to the designer and give the designer a project to do, to design a logo that explains what the group goal is, to make sure the designer understands that they're part of the group, do something that's part of that person's trade, and allow them to understand that we listen to what they're saying as the employer. In conclusion, I explained how an expressive leader would resolve a social dilemma working in a Fortune 500 company as a secretary right out of high school, working their way up to the top, only to find that the CEO and the vice president are at odds. Then I named 3 types of formal organization and explained how each are different. I also explained the time when I was involved in one of these type of organizations. I talked about if I decided to run for public office with no experience, then I would use Webster's ideal bureaucracy to prove my competence. And lastly, I talked about how a creative manager of a small group of employees in the advertising department would socialize and engage an employee, that's a designer, that has withdrawn from the meetings. Thank you very much.